have with us brothers, John and Michael Burns, founders of Icon Talks and experts in the area of culture, diversity, and inclusion, who were fighting against voter suppression. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us, Denise.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can say enough to make sure that we get our community prepared for what we're up against. And you all produced a video, a film production. Talk about it. Why did you do it, and where can folks see it, and what will they see?
Yeah, absolutely. I can jump in. First of all, thank you again, Denise. And the documentary we produced is called I'm a Dreamer. And it really kind of draws parallels between Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech 57 years ago and some of the issues that we're all still experiencing today, whether it be police brutality, some of the issues around economic empowerment and wealth creation, and many other issues. And so we worked with, members of Congress, other celebrities, to really use their platforms and leverage their audiences to bring attention to these core issues.
Is this I mean, how do folks get to see this film, and how did you, I mean, did you go through and collect sort of speeches or videos from past? I mean, tell me what we'll see when we look at it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll let Mike jump in.
Yeah. Well, it initially partnered with the Motion Picture Association. So the film was hung on their newly launched live streaming site. But luckily, I think you said it in the intro, Denise, we had an organization called Icon Talks that John and a gentleman by the name of another John Hartsfield, really started building out 5-6 years ago. And part of the mission of Icon Talks was to interact with everyday icons. So the senators, the business leaders, the entertainers, the actors. So we had tons of footage from these engagements over the years that were directly aligned with some of the messages that were tied to Dr. King's speech. So with the help of the Motion Picture Association, with some of the footage that we had together, and with an amazing director by the name of Torrance Hampton, we were able to put all of this together to really create this amazing 90-minute documentary.
Tell me, what did you learn, or what did you get from this in putting it together? What inspired you the most? Was there something that was like really eye-opening to you? I mean, we're all, well, I won't say we, but you all seem to be fairly young men. I was going to claim it, but the truth
claim
is
it.
Claim it. No,
but I mean, a lot of us don't. I mean, we know parts of that movement and what folks say, but what always stands out the most, of course, is Dr. King and others. But who did you learn about, and who surprised you or informed you the most about the movement of against voter suppression?
Well, I can jump in here, Denise. I think what we were so blessed is we had a chance to really spend a lot of time with Congressman Lewis before he passed, and he's in the documentary. And one thing that he really spoke to so eloquently and stood for so long was the need to be committed to the movement. And I remember I got a chance to sit with him earlier this year in January. We spent some time together just chit-chatting. And, he mentioned that our generation, we have to be sure that we remain committed, right? While people might have, come out and march in the streets, but what is the ultimate goal? What is the mission? What are you trying to change? And so with this documentary, we wanted to be sure that we identified true attainable goals and got people focused and laser focused on those goals. And one of those goals is making sure people come out to vote.
And Mike, what else? I mean, of course, we're really put on a hard press right now to get folks to come out to vote. A lot of young folks, I've heard, I won't, say that the stories of Dr. King and what have you, are great stories, but they're not inspired enough about them to feel as though there's some responsibility that they have to vote. What would you say to folks like that?
Well, I think you've highlighted a really important point, because in order to drive change and action, people have to feel emotionally connected to something. So if I'm a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old sitting at home, I know of Dr. King, but all the stuff that happened 57 years ago, that's not something that really resonates with me. So even when we built out this documentary, we strategically and purposely put faces and people that the younger generations knew and respected, and that they could make a connection with. So hearing something come out of the mouth of Anthony Hamilton or Omari Hardwick it resonates differently with them, and it drives different kind of emotional responses. So putting those people in, we hopefully that will make that point of connection that will drive action. But I really think sitting down with the younger generation and really talking through what they saw 57 years ago, how that plays into what their future could look like 57 years from now is important. And that's a responsibility for people of our generation to sit down with these younger people to help them understand. I think a lot of times we not discount, but we don't invest the time in creating this level of understanding. And I know the people who raised us, me and my brother especially, the reason why we are where we are is because people did take time to water, to feed, and to really invest in us. And so we just can't say go out and vote and then get mad if they don't vote. We have to help them understand why it truly is so important.
One of the things that I often ask, and I think that's the challenge, particularly for people who live in cities like Washington, D.C., to really know what voter suppression looks like. You know, how do you know when your right to vote has been suppressed? I mean, there are places I mean, we've heard stories, again, from things in the past. And we know that there's still an effort, this whole thing about the ability to mail in a vote and what's required, what kind of ID is required in order for you to register to vote. But did you all discover anything about voter suppression that you didn't know before you produced this film?
John, I'm not sure you might be.
Yeah, we were somewhat knowledgeable of some of the issues that, you know, we've all been confronted with. But I think what really resonated with me was when we had a conversation with Congresswoman Terry Sewell, and this is back in early March, and she was really conveying to me to really convey to the folks that we work with and the networks that we have access to is that everybody needs to have a voting plan. And I had never really thought of that concept before, right? You go vote, you vote early, you don't, what is a voting plan? I'd really never heard that and really employed that. So now we're all seeing the need to have a voting plan because, to your point, Denise, there are voting suppression efforts that we might not even be aware of that are very much disguised. So we have to make sure that we're doing everything as a community and educating communities across the country to make sure that they know what day they're voting, how they're voting, where they're parking. I mean, every particular thing that they need to make sure that they can get their vote cast as quickly and as safely as possible.
And the one thing I'll add to that as well is that psychological warfare is real, right? And playing with people's heads and minds and making them think things, even if what you're saying is not rooted in any fact, if the people fail to act, are therefore there is inaction, you actually win. So at the end of the day, us not doing something because we're afraid or we believe our voice is going to be suppressed, we help land on the intent of those who are trying to suppress our vote. So we have to push each other, even if it's scary, even if it's unclear the outcome, we have to push ourselves to act, or we are feeding into the psychological warfare of the inaction that the other side is hoping to create.
Well, I really wish we had an opportunity to see a clip of the film, but maybe you can tell us where we can see it.
Yeah, so you can still see it. It's at themotionpictures.org. So it's on the Motion Pictures Association's website. And we also just entered into a number of different film festivals as well, including Cannes, Tribeca, Sundance, amongst others. So fingers crossed, you might see it on the big screen someday.
Well, I can say we saw you here first, and so we're excited about that. How long is the film?
It's a little over about 90 minutes, as Mike mentioned earlier. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm very proud of what you all have accomplished, and I'm glad that you came here to share this with us. And we're certainly going to encourage our readers, as we did a piece in the Informer, and now we have you on WIN TV. We want to encourage our community to make sure that we're supportive, that we check it out, and that we talk about it. And you know, I wish I had more time because I want to know how you all even got into this film business. But clearly, you're successful with what you're doing, so that's what's most important.
Thank you so much, Denise. Thank you for having us.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. All right, and good luck.